Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. Tonight, here are the questions that we're going to be asking, because we're going to talk tonight just about freedom of the press. Are the Mao jokes just as funny as the Hitler jokes? I'm not sure. Maybe Anita could call our hotline. This is the hotline for the White House. You know, in case we get anything wrong, she can call right up. And by the way, we have Joe. He's all dressed as, you know, in a Chairman Mao outfit today. We thought maybe he'd be more comfortable. I'm just saying. Next question is, does the press know they are being controlled by the White House? And if so, does it bother anybody in the press? And the third question, how many more warnings are we going to receive? How many more are left? If you believe this country is great, but you don't know why it's being transformed right before your eyes, stand up and come on, follow me. Hello, America. Welcome to Monday. You know, America, I have to tell you, I said at the beginning, how many more wake-up calls are we going to receive? How many? I think we have had wake-up call after wake-up call after wake-up call. The administration, I believe, just might be trying to take over the media. Phil Kerpen, he's a policy director for Americans for Prosperity and the chairman of Internet Freedom Coalition. This is a big week, isn't it, for freedom of speech?
It's a very big week this week because the FCC on Thursday is going to decide what the future of the Internet looks like. If it looks much like the past 10 years where you have private competition and pretty much people can do what they want on the Internet, or whether we have a much, much heavier government hand. And they're going to take the first step on that Thursday. Okay,
I want to start just real quick. Net neutrality, because it happens on Thursday. This is that everybody should have free Internet, right?
Well, essentially, it's, you know, they dress it up the way they dress up a lot of their things. They turn it upside down by saying that evil corporations, phone and cable companies are going to block what we can do, block what we can say.
Correct.
And the government must save us by stepping in and regulating.
Right. Okay. And everybody should have it. I don't remember anybody saying in the 1930s that everybody had a right to radio, and we gave away free radios through the government. And I don't remember anybody saying in the 1950s everybody deserves a free television. But that's where we're headed now. So net neutrality, I want to get to that later on in the week. But here it is, freedom of speech. You have a freedom of speech or big government. You can't really have both. Now, I was looking at all the things that they're doing here. Fox, and help me out where I'm going awry. They're coming after Fox because we're the only ones that are speaking out against this. They're coming also after me because I'm just not thinking right. I'm a danger. And this is really all about profit. That's all this is. We couldn't possibly believe it. It's about profit. We're dangerous, and we don't understand. Newspapers, however, are right-thinking. They get it. They're helpful, but they don't have any money. So what does the government want to do? They want to bail these guys out, right?
That's exactly right. We've got a president who's now said he's open to the idea of bailing out newspapers. And I've got a pretty interesting quote. President Obama said, I'd be happy to look. He said, I haven't seen detailed proposals yet, but I'd be happy to look at them for bailing out newspapers because, quote, I am concerned that if the direction of the news is all blogosphere, all opinions, and no serious fact-checking, what you'll end up with is people shouting at each other. So we need the government-supported newspapers, the right-thinking newspapers.
Well, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they're really going for a new model of PBS. They believe, I mean, a lot of the people in the FCC now believe that PBS is the way to go. It should all be government, like the BBC, right?
Absolutely. That's the model that people like Mark Lloyd at the FCC, as well as Robert McChesney, the founder of Free Press, have for years been pushing for huge taxes on commercial broadcasting to pay for vastly expanded public broadcasting under control of government.
Okay. America, you need to understand this. This is about your right to speak out, because I want to show you all this week. In fact, let me just show you this before we go to break. Underneath here, and I was gonna unveil this today, but I decided, no, we'll wait. We'll wait just for a little while. We'll wait. Maybe tomorrow. What's underneath this? Oh, don't you want to see what's behind curtain number 1? Behind this is the architecture. Everything that they're doing and who's doing it and why they're doing it. And when you see the radicals under this, it'll make your head spin. More on your freedom of speech and the fight between your right to speak out and big government next. America, I ask that you watch this show with a pencil and paper every day. I ask that you take notes. I ask that you wake up another friend and bring them to the table so they can see what's going on. I want to ask you this one question. Does this concern you under the umbrella of freedom of speech? Fox is under attack because we're just wrong-thinking Americans. We're a danger, and there's profit. Newspapers are about to be taken over because they're right-thinking, they're helpful, but they're out of money, so they should bail them out. Talk radio is under attack because they're wrong-thinking, they're a danger, and they're profit, and they're not local anymore. Television, tonight, I just told you, all this week, television is going to have service and volunteerism. They have green weeks and service weeks now on television, network television. Education. How about the Barack Hussein Obama song? How about the story of stuff? They got it there. How about the NEA? The NEA doing artwork to push the president and his agenda. And then you have the internet, the last thing that's truly free. The government's about to get in on Thursday with net neutrality because too many people are driven by profit. And it's dangerous. Oh, the internet is dangerous. We're back with Phil Kerpen, Policy Director for Americans for Prosperity, the chairman of the Internet Freedom Coalition. Okay, Phil, I see a pattern here. Is there any place that they don't have their fingers and they're about to grab on to the throat?
Well, I think that what we have right now is an administration that's trying to centralize power in Washington over all aspects of our life. Unprecedented central economic planning for this country. And you can't do that unless you control the communication system. And that means all of it. Internet, television, radio. And that's exactly what they're trying to do with this. And that's the pattern. I think that the most disturbing thing is they're not just trying to manipulate it and control it through their skill the way they did on the campaign, but they're actually trying to do what they call structural reform that will lock in their control permanently.
Okay. Mark Lloyd has said that he is, he admires what Chavez did down in Venezuela. Who is the architect of all of this? We're going to get into some of it over the next few days once I reveal what's underneath the giant big blue sheet. But who is the architect? Would you say free press is maybe not the architect, but one of the big engines behind this?
I would say that free press is the most powerful engine behind this. They've been at this for many, many years, and their founder, Robert McChesney, is an avowed socialist, a Marxist professor at the University of Illinois, formerly at the University of Wisconsin, bastions of Marxist thought. This is a man who 2 weeks after 9/11 said the United States is the leading terrorist institution in the world. This is a man who earlier this year, in an article called A New Deal, advised President Obama that, quote, in the end, there is no real answer but to remove brick by brick the capitalist system itself, rebuilding the entire society on socialist principles.
Right.
And this is a man who told a Canadian socialist website, quote, instead of waiting for the revolution to happen, we learned that unless you make significant changes in the media, it will be vastly more difficult to have a revolution.
Okay. So they're the ones that are really going after all of this, and they're working with their friends in the White House. For instance, Susan Crawford, she's the White House Internet czar. You say you found, and we went to the Internet today to download it, and it's been scrubbed from YouTube. What did you say you found?
Yeah, it's interesting. There was a keynote speech that Susan Crawford, who's on the National Economic Council, I think her official title is Special Assistant for Science, Technology, and Innovation Policy, basically the Internet czar. She's in charge of the Internet stimulus, in charge of a lot of these media policies. She came out in support of potential newspaper bailouts, and she had an incredible quote. She said, one of the happiest summers of my life was spent at the New York Times. They hired one cub lawyer for no particular reason, and I got to go to first page meetings and meet the guys in the basement who run the press. It was totally exciting, and every day I would walk toward the New York Times building and say, make me competent. I just want to be competent. So I have a lot of loyalty to news organizations, and I know President Obama does too.
Yeah, I have a lot of loyalty to news organizations. I've worked for news organizations my whole life. I don't have any loyalty, really, to the news organizations. They're worried about them going out of business. Well, if they fail, somebody else will come about and do a better job. There's your loyalty. How about the loyalty to the truth, not to any one organization? This week, we will be talking about your right to speak out. All this week. Back in a minute.
Tonight, Bill